Hello all, welcome to this second class on spreadsheets for engineers, and in this class let's learn how to make a scatter plot for two variables. One is an independent variable and another one is a dependent variable. And here the independent variable is nothing but the x variable where we have heights. So we have different values for heights, and here we have different like the dependent variable, that is y variable, where we have weights in kgs. We have different values of y in kgs, and you can also see all these values are linearly increasing in an ascending order. You can just see all the values are linear, and it's increasing in some non, even though it's not perfectly linear, it's somewhere linear. It's increasing. We'll try to plot a scatter plot for it. So what we can do, just try to select only these values first, only these values without the headers. Go to insert, and here you have scatter graph. So try to click this scatter graph with only markers. So once you click that, you can let me try to move this. So now what we'll try to do is, let's try to use different options over here. So when I click over here on the somewhere on the excel sheet, you can just see only these options here: home, insert, page layout, formulae, date review, view, sorry, data review, view, and developer. But once I click on this chart, you can just see you get three more ribbons here. There is three more tabs, that is design, layout, and format. So only when I click on the chart I get it. Once again I'll just show you. Once I click on the excel sheet I don't get it, but once I click on the chart area, you can just see. So design layout, I can just give design. So different ones you can, as you click on, you can just see this markers colors keeps changing. All these you can just see here. And also when I click over layer, I'll just go with this color. And then layout, you have a lot of options. So first thing is, you can just see chart title. So chart title, it is given as centered overlay title and above chart. So let me try to give above chart. So you get this chart title above. So what I'll do is go to this formula bar, and I'll try to type some chart title. Let me try to give heights versus weights. You can try to give anything whatever you wish, but let me try to give heights versus weights. Enter. Now next let's try to try this axis titles is this x-axis and y-axis. So x-axis, let's try to give below, and let's try to give it as heights. So heights, heights, and y-axis. So enter. Next you have y-axis. So click this axis, primary vertical axis title, and here you have different options. You can try to give this rotated title, and go to this formula bar again, and try to give weights. So weights. Okay, enter. Next you have legend is nothing but, you can just see, this is nothing but the title. So you can just see, or the series 1, whatever you see, that's what is the legend. So series 1. So let's try to give that legend. So that for currently it's on the right, so let's try to put it on the bottom also. You can just see the series 1, it's at the bottom. So the series 1 means this graph 1, it is nothing but. Next you have data labels. Data labels means this values, so you can display those values also. Now I'll try to click something like center. So if I try to give center, you can just see on the chart title, on the chart area, some values get displayed. So let me also try to give something like above. You can just see all these values get displayed. You can give whatever you want. Next, I'll just tell about this axis, because once I get another table, I can just show you that clearly. Then there is something called grid lines. So primary horizontal grid lines. If you click major grid lines, you can just see some lines over here. Similarly, horizontal minor grid lines, you can just see some minor grid lines over here. And similarly, primary word, so major, you can just see some lines over here. It is just like a graph sheet. And primary, so you can just see all these lines get displayed over here. So now let me try to give none. So because I don't need it, let me try to give here also none. I don't need it. So next you have plot area. So all that, let me try to tell that again after some time. Now what I'll do, I'll try to click over this. You can just see the minimum, what is it, the values in the y-axis. This is something 50 to 70, in that range. So what I'll do, I'll try to click that y-axis, that values. I'll just try to right click, go to format axis, and here you have something called, if I try to give the minimum value is something 53, the maximum value is 72. So what I'll do, I'll try to give minimum value as fixed instead of automatic. Let me try to give 50, and the maximum value, let me try to give instead of 775, something like that. So once I do that, you can just see it is even more clearer. So the values seem to be more clearer now. I can also add some options like trend lines. I can also add colors, etc. So now what I can do, I can just click on this plot area. So okay, first let me click on this what chart area. This is the chart area, and within this plot is nothing but this you called as plot area. So know the difference, plot area and chart area. So chart area is this. So right click on the chart area. You have format chart area. So right click and you have format chart area. So here you have various options like currently it's at automatic. No fill means there will not be any colors. Solid fill means you can just see automatically some colors gets changed over here. You can also change to different colors. You can just say I'll try to add this color. So solid comes, so completely I can change it to black color. So however I want I can change it. So prefixed is this color. Next, if I try to click gradient, I can also give various colors like this. You can just see I can give whichever color I want. So let me try to give this color something, it looks brighter and good. So okay, let me fix with this color. Similarly, you can there is also something called picture or texture fill. So picture or texture fill means I can also choose from the background. So go to this file, and I can choose something from the background also. So currently I don't have any pictures. So if you have any pictures in any folder, if you click it, it will appear on the background. So there is something called texture. So I can give whichever texture. You can just see at the background something changes. So I'll just currently go with this gradient fill, and I'll close it off. So it looks good. Next thing what I can do is I can also add a trend line to it. So trend lines can be added. Trend line is nothing but how these values are changing. It depends mostly on that. So what you can do, click on that values. So right click, that is nothing but data series, format data series. So here okay, I mean here this is for primary and secondary access. Let me try to do that later. So what I can do, first click that. After that, then you have something called trend line. So if I click something called linear trend line, you can just see the data or the trend is linear. You can just see it is increasing linearly. So that is very important. Also, when I click trend line, I have something called more trend line options. I can also set an equation. So if I click something called display equation on chart, I can you can just see this is a linear. So linear means it is nothing but y equals to mx plus c. I can drag that uh, equation over here, so I can close it. So this is for a single y-axis and single x-axis. You have so much to do. But similarly, you have another thing like when you have to add a double y-axis, double x-axis, and double y-axis. So there is nothing but adding two x-axis and two y-axis. So let me try to show that as well. Okay, now let me try to continue with that second plot area, that is second chart. So I mean to say that secondary y-axis and secondary x-axis. So what I have done in this graph is I have just tried to I have removed all those legends, those axis titles, this background color, everything. So I've just brought it back to that normal initially how the I mean how the scatter plot is plotted. So I've just brought back to that state itself. So now what I'll try to do is I'll try to add these values also. Here you have the second table of heights versus weights. So I'll try to add that as well into this plot, and then let me try to plot the secondary y-axis and secondary axis, that is the second x-axis and second y-axis. So to add that, what I'll try to click on this plot area. So go to this design. So here you have something called select data. So try to select data, and in that here you have an option called add. So here series name, let's try to give it as series. So let's try to give series 2. So series 2 to it, and then series x values. So for series x values, let me try to select only this new set of x values, and for series y values, so whatever is there, you just try to erase that, and for that you try to select this new set of y values. Click OK. You can already see that those values have got plotted over here. So these are the new set of x and y values. So now what I'll do is to plot it over into a new axis, I'll just try to click that. So this, you can just see the series 1 is in blue color, series 2 is in red color. So click that series 2. So you can just see right click on it, you just click format data series. here you have something called secondary axis. So secondary axis, when you click over here, immediately you can just see a secondary y-axis is plotted over here. So but you need even a secondary x-axis. So what you do for that is click over this plot area again, or you can click over this itself, this point itself. Here you have something called layout, and here you have something called axis. So already we have plotted a primary vertical axis and secondary vertical axis, but we need a secondary horizontal axis. So secondary horizontal axis, let's try to click that, and let's try to show default axis. You can just see all these values have got plotted over here at 1.1 to 1.7. So here you have secondary y-axis, and here the primary x-axis, here the primary y-axis and secondary y-axis. So now what I'll try to do, I'll try to give that that fixed values here. So here it is from 0.1 to 0.7. so this looks fine. Here it is 50 is the minimum value while 70 is the maximum value. Let me try to click this. So right click, format axis. So let me try to give the minimum value as 50. Let me try to give the maximum value as 75. So let me right click over here, and similarly here you can just see it starts from 1.1 to 1.7. so let me try to click over here. So click on these values, and then right click. Here you have something called format axis, and give the minimum value as 1.1 and the maximum value somewhere around okay, let's give 1.8 something. So instead of 1.7, let me try to give 1.8. next one you have something called here. Yes, here the minimum value is somewhere around 102 to 130. so here it starts from 0. So instead of 0, let it start from 100. So right click over here, format axis. So give the minimum value as 100, give the maximum value as, so it's 140. Let's try to give 135 or 140 itself. Let it be there. Let it be at 140 itself. So here you can just see, now you can see these values are looking much better. So now what I'll do, let me try to name all those. So let's try to click layout. So chart axis titles, primary horizontal axis, it's the first heights value. So let me try to give it as heights 1. Enter. So next one is axis titles. So primary vertical axis title, let me try to give this as weights 1. So enter. Next secondary horizontal axis title, let me try to give that as, so it's a second values of heights 2. So let me try to give that as heights 2, and then again go to this axis titles, secondary vertical axis title. So give that as rotated title. So give that as weights 2. So weights 2. Enter. So now you can see there is heights 1, heights 2, weights 1 and weights 2. So what I can do is I can try to add a trend line to it. So series 1 is nothing but the first set of values, that is blue color. Series 2 is nothing but red color. So for series 1, let me try to add a trend line. So I can just try to select those values. So you can just say, I'll just try to select those values. Right click, I can just give add trend line. So let me try to give a linear trend line, and let's display that equation on chart as well. So let me try to move that equation over somewhere here. So let me try to move over here. Okay, or else okay, let's show that. And next for the secondary, secondary values, let's try to add another trend line over here. So let's try just to add only trend line. So or else let's try to delete this because there is no enough space over here. Let me try to delete that equation. So and now let me try to let me try to change this chart. So let me try to format the chart area and all. Let me try to give a gradient fill over here. So this one I have taught you earlier itself in the, and now let me try to, so I think that's it. So there is now anything else here. You can try to increase or reduce the titles, increase or reduce the heights, all that, increase or reduce the size. And now what you can also try to click this this chart, and also you can try to move those charts. So you can just try to click it, go to this design tab, and here you have something called move chart. So it tries to move all together to a different sheet. So let me try to object a new sheet. So let me try to give it a new sheet. So click OK. So you can just see now it is altogether moved into a new sheet here. So now let me try to even add a trend line to it. So for this, let me try to right click. So format trend line. So here let me try to display that equation on chart. Similarly, let me try to add this. Let me try to click this as well. So format trend line. So here also let me try to display that equation on chart. Here you can just see two equations have been displayed now. So let me try to okay, so let me try okay, let's leave it there itself. So even let me try to format this plot area also. So plot area also I can try to give a different color. So you can just see, instead of that, let me try to give a different color over here. So I can give different. So remember, plot area and chart area both are different. So let me try to give whichever some light colors. So let this color be there. So you can just see in this way we try to plot this series 1, series 2, and also there is something I didn't display the data labels. Data labels, let it be on the center. So not center, it's not so clearly visible. If I try to give left, okay, or let me try to give above. Okay, above, you can just see those values have also got displayed over here. And grid lines, let me try to add some grid lines. So minor grid lines, and similarly you can just see for vertical also it's asking. And okay, that's enough, I guess. So that's it. I believe you have understood how to plot different values of x and y for a primary for a primary graph and a secondary graph. I think you have understood this better.